When the Diecast International Builders announced they were doing a clown car invitational, I knew I had to participate. So I dug out this Maisto VW 1300 that I've had for a while. And there's another little addition to this build that you'll see later. It's a resin print that I've had kicking around here for months. And this was the perfect time to work on that as well. As you can see, this casting's in pretty good shape. I mean, it's a nice looking little bug, but I need to change it a little. As you can see, it has two posts. Yeah, drilled those out, went through the usual process on this. It has a plastic base. Because it's a clown car, I end up keeping the wheels. You'll see it has that type of little suspension, that little plastic suspension piece in there, made taking the wheels out really easy. The glass is just a piece of plastic. You'll notice there's no interior on this. The glass is not transparent. I didn't change that at all. And it is anchored to the roof by that one post, so I just needed to pop that out of there. That always freaks me out when they're attached to the roof like that, because so far I've been lucky, but I know just one of these days it's going to snap in half. But fortunately, this one didn't. I drilled it out, tapped it, put screws in it, and as you can see at this point, I've already thrown it in citrus strip, and citrus strip continues to work wonderfully for me. I did use 256 screws on this. Both it had great posts. There was no problem at all drilling this. The casting does have a lot of casting lines on it. It's a nice looking casting, but man, the casting lines were just in some places that were really tough to get out of there. Honestly, I wasn't able to get them all out of there without losing some detail on the body, so I had to make a choice. And I just ended up cleaning it up as best I could. I think the results turn out okay. I'm perfectly happy with that. With the way this turns out, it's a great little clown car. That's what we're after. So, as you know, I don't airbrush. So this is done with a series of rattlecan paints. I don't go through the entire paint process on here. Save it to say I do use Rustoleum paints and Model Master, one can of Model Master enamel. But here you see me masking it off for two areas of paint. And there I hit the yellow, and I did this in stages. I'm not going to show you each process, but I have to tell you that Tamiya, that white tape for curves, can't be beat. The one can of Model Master enamel I used was that sublime green you see there that, man, I'm looking for excuses to use that paint. When I picked it up cheap at Hobby Lobby recently, they had it not only enamel, but also lacquer. I had used the lacquer already, and this is the first time for the enamel. Masked off the yellow and green to paint two additional colors, and all of that happens off screen. You'll see the end results on that, but it's just a matter of masking and painting. And fortunately, that tape did not lift anything off. I shot two colors on one day, two colors on another day, and it was perfect. I decided to keep the wheels, and I was just going to paint them red. Well, paint the wheels themselves red. Did require a little touch-up after I did the little stamping there. I also painted the hubs yellow because why not? It's a clown car. Once the wheels were painted and everything, I did go over it with a matte clear. The Minwax that I love so much has a gloss, a semi-gloss, and a matte. And so for this, I used the matte finish. I decided not to do any other alterations to the base. I had seen a clown car that had the front bumper painted white with red stripes. I decided against that. I wanted to keep the chrome on this. So again, I didn't make any changes to that base. Even though the glass is not transparent, that's no reason not to hit it with gauzy. So busted out the gauzy, dunk and dry, and you're good to go. Yeah, dunk and drip dry, to be specific. But just had to wick off the excess as usual. And the results, gauzy, you can't beat it. I was a little worried about the thickness of it again, since this needs to adhere to the inside, but it was fine. Printed up some decals. I didn't want anything too outrageous. And there you see the final paint scheme. And, I detailed some of the chrome areas with the Molotow pen. I used around the windows with the Molotow pen. Again, the 2mm pen. And I used a Gundam black marker for little vents on the back deck, that kind of thing. The decals, I didn't want them super bright. That being said, I probably should have laid down a white decal first. Printed those flowers in white, or printed a white background to them to make them pop a little bit more. But to be honest, I'm completely happy with the results. I did double layer a few of them. And when it came to do the headlights, I had used the Molotow pen to basically do the bezel in chrome. And for this one, I took some of that basically bluish gray color, put a very slight amount into a white that you see there, and mixed up this very light, very, very light pale blue. You wouldn't even know the blue's in there, to be honest with you. It's so pale. And then again, use these pens. They're designed for fingernails. They have ball tips. And they work perfectly for things like headlights. The taillights, that also had the chrome already down from the Molotow pen, and then got out the ever-reliable Tamiya Clear Red. Took out a toothpick and hit those with the red. So I didn't just hit this with stripes and leave it at that on the car. I wanted it to still have some detail. One picture of a clown car I saw still had all the detail, the chrome detail, that kind of thing. And I liked it. It really worked for me. So I kind of wanted to recreate that on this one. I don't normally do the trim around windows, but as you can see there, and I think it's because of the multicolor paint scheme, it really seems to make it pop. And then I busted out this tiny little turd. It's a resin print. And again, I've had this around here for months. It's from, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, but it is in the description of the video, Nahul Customs, Nahuel, on Instagram does these. He makes the STL file available. I printed it months ago. I've wanted to do it, and it looked like a perfect little follow-around car, a little chase car for the clown car. Just reminded me of seeing parades with clowns and the ones in little individual cars, that kind of thing, little scooters. So this seemed perfect for that. This thing appears to have basically a motorcycle engine that you'll see on the side. I did paint the front. It's a hood kind of thing, like a panel. Like it's not, definitely not like a grill. But I painted it black, and then I painted like a lower edge on it with a red marker. It's kind of tough to see, but I wanted this to almost look like a face at the front. And so naturally I hit it with the Sublime Green and had to throw some matching decals on it, that kind of thing. But this was fun. This little guy, if I thought the VW was fun, this tiny little thing was fun too. And they just seem to go together so well. But we'll get back to this in a minute. But let's throw together the bug. That does have I have to say a coat of Minwax clear would be lying. It has a few coats of the rattlecan Minwax polyurethane gloss clear. Obviously, you're not going to put a screw in this top to hold the glass. So the way I like to do these, I just get out the resin pen, put a little bit of resin in there where the post is. And then you have the light at the other end of this pen that you just shine on it to cure that resin. Couldn't be easier, couldn't be cleaner. Works great. You don't have to worry about crazing the glass like you do with the super glue. Not that this one would have done that since it's not clear. But, and then you'll see here in a minute, it plays kind of a mind game on me. I touch it, and it looks like I think it's wet. It's not. But it's a weird thing to the touch. And I thought, well, let me hit it again with the curing. It actually was perfectly fine. But, once is good, twice is better. As mentioned before, there is no interior on this thing. So right there, we just pop that base on, throw the screws in it. And we have one completed clown car. At this point, I would like to thank the Diecast International Builders. It's a group that was around in another incarnation at first, and then that group has kind of split off into, I believe it's two other groups. I think it's two other groups. And so I'd like to thank them for doing this build. I mean, how can I resist a clown car? Come on. So thanks for throwing this one out there. This is something I probably never would have done on my own, but when it's announced, clown car, of course. So there you see how it ended up. I hope you like this clown car. I'm happy with it. I think it's pretty funny. I could see the clowns all hopping out of this thing at some point. I thought about sticking other things on it. Stuff on the roof or eyelashes on the eyeballs of the front headlights, that kind of thing. Decided against it. And I thought, well, I'll do the little chase car with this. So this does have some glamour shots of just this vehicle coming up. And then in a moment, we're going to get back to that other little car. It's a 1958, and Lord knows I'm going to mispronounce this, Brutsch Mopetta mini car. And this thing's pretty funny to me. I couldn't resist making it match the other one to a degree. I almost thought of it as being pulled around by a string behind the VW. It's like, no. Then here you see the face. I painted that to look like an open mouth in a way, and you can barely see that bottom has red on it, so kind of like a tongue. So anyhow, thanks for watching these videos. I hope you've enjoyed this build with a little added kicker to it. And if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. And a special thanks also to my Patreon supporters for all of their help in getting these things done. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. And catch you in the next one.